Have you ever had someone tell you that they think there's a memory leak in Warframe and that's making the game crash? Well, today I'm going to show you a little bit of tools that we can use, that you can use yourself to figure out if there's a leak, what kind of leak it is, and I'm going to show you a secret Easter egg that we've included in the game that you can use to stress test Warframe for you while you try various theories. Now, it could be a driver issue, it could be a problem in the game, or it could be an overlay, it could be a streaming tool, it could be some sort of, there's lots of programs that like to inject themselves into Warframe and do things that are sometimes helpful, but sometimes they leak. So the most important thing is to do science, and I'm going to show you how you can measure how much memory is being used by the different parts of Warframe and how you can tell if it's leaking. Okay? So the easiest, or the first place I'm going to show you, is if you go to the options, go to HUD, and show our frame rate counter. Now, I know a lot of programs like to show you, there's a Steam has their own frame rate counter, but our frame rate counter has an extra little bonus, and that it shows the amount of RAM used by the game heap. Now, this is, you can see the lower left-hand corner, at the right-hand side of that bar, it says RAM 554 megabytes right now. Now that RAM counter is game stuff. It's game logic. It's managing where the pickups are, what the AI are thinking about, what weapons you have loaded, and how much ammo they have, all that kind of crazy cool stuff. That goes in a memory block called our heap. And often, a lot of the leaks are totally our fault, and they will show up here. And in the past, I've done forum posts or even videos to explain how you can look at this heap counter and look for a leak that way. Now lately, I've been getting a lot of PMs and a lot of people telling me, "Oh no, there's a big leak," and it's not actually showing up in this RAM counter. And maybe it's a driver issue, maybe it's a middleware issue. I'm going to show you how you can tell. So the trick to that is to show Task Manager. I'm going to overlay Task Manager right now. Now you can see up here I've shown the commit size column. I don't know if it's shown by default, but if you can change what columns are visible in Task Manager, and I'm sorting my commit size. You can see Warframe running the 64-bit version like a boss, using 2.2 gigabytes of RAM. Now that's totally cool, and calling it RAM isn't necessarily true, but let's just generalize and say it's using about 2.2 gig of address space. That's how big it is. Now, what's the difference? I said that the game is using 555 meg down there, and yet Warframe is using 2.2 gig of commit size. What's going on here? It turns out that there is memory that the game uses, and then there's memory that's used by drivers. So in this case, textures, render targets, vertex buffers, sound not so much, but depending on what platform you're on, sound sometimes goes up there. So there's a whole lot of memory stuff that's managed by other parts of the game, in this case drivers, that goes into your address space, but not actually our memory heap. In some cases, that memory can leak, can bloat. Bad things can happen up there. And so when you're looking for leaks, the important question is our heap, is this RAM counter in the lower left-hand corner growing and growing and growing, or is it the memory size, the commit size? And depending on which one it is, it kind of points the finger one way or the other. So it's important to distinguish what type of leak you're doing. Now I'm going to hide this, and the next thing I'm going to show you is a cool tool that we've built into the game to stress test the game. Now, before I do this, I'm gonna actually shut down Warframe. I'm gonna boot it clean. So you'll have to excuse me for a moment here. I'm gonna put this on here. I'm gonna quit Warframe. Then I'm gonna boot it back up. Now the importance of running the game fresh is that you don't want to do anything else ahead of time that might interfere with your test, because we want to be scientific. Bill Nye the Science Guy says science rules, right? So we want to do as carefully a controlled experiment as possible. So I'm booting up Warframe fresh to run my test. Okay. Now, if you ever run Wormius, there's a secret to run Wormius, or maybe Flappy Zephyr. You ever played Flappy Zephyr? Hold on, coming back. So you can actually type secret emails into the login screen, and they will do cool stuff. So I'm going to show you corpus.outbreak. And if you log in as corpus.outbreak, you will see some magic. This is a stress test. We actually run this stress test in our labs, 12 hours at a time on different computers. But this is going to let you run it on your computer and run tests. So you can see it's not the prettiest level, but it's busy. You got Corpus, an endless army of Corpus versus an endless horde of infested, and they're going to duke it out for as long as you run this game. Now, what we want to look for here is do a half an hour run, do an hour run. Set it up, and before you go, mark down how much RAM you're using. So in this case, 525, let's say, 525 meg of RAM. That number will jump around a bit, of course, but 525 meg of RAM. And then if I were to show Task Manager, let me go here. 1.8. So I got 1.8 gig of Task Manager. So my process is 1.8. So there's a bunch of stuff from driver land, about 500 meg or half a gig of game code land. So now I'm gonna go make a sandwich, go have coffee, go have lunch, do my homework, go to sleep, or whatever, and let this go. We call this a soak, and soak is a good analogy for the leaks we're looking for. Come back in an hour and look at where those numbers are. Did my RAM go up a whole lot? Did it double? That's a lot. Did my address space go up a lot? Did it double? That's a lot. And sort of look for the growth there. And if you don't see any significant growth, if it stays maybe 50% or doubling is a lot, but 50% growth you can probably live with. Those sorts of leaks, that's probably doable. If you have an obvious leak, it will be pretty obvious. So the RAM counter will double or triple. The process size, I've seen people leak up to 16 gigabytes of process size, which is crazy big. So the question is, suppose it's in the process commit size. We know that that's. I think there's actually a leak right now that people are complaining about, and I think that it's going to be in the commit size or the process size. What's causing it? So there's a couple things you can try. And the first thing, we've seen this in the past, time and again. Disable your overlays, disable your stream stuff, disable, I don't want to say it, but GeForce Experience. We've had some problems with GeForce Experience before. Turn that stuff off, just shut it down and run the test. Boot up Warframe fresh, run it for an hour, run it for half an hour and see if it grows. Easy way, right? If it doesn't change anything, you've ruled out a suspect. You know it's not your streaming tools. You know it's not, I'm using Open Broadcaster. Is it Open Broadcaster? I don't know. That's an easy thing to test. If that doesn't rule it out, or if it still leaks after that, the next thing I would try is drivers. Are you running the latest driver? I believe there was a new driver released today that we hope is going to fix one of the leaks that we've been seeing. If it does, high fives all around, everyone's happy. But sometimes, it is still a problem with the latest drivers, and that may be true right now. So, and if you're already on the latest drivers and it still leaks, go back a version, go back 2 versions, right? You can always get the older versions from the website. And if that fixes it, great. Okay, you boxed it in. You can run every version forward until you say, well, it was fine on version X, and it's leaking on version Y, and it's leaking commit size, and I leak 2 gigabytes in an hour. That's science. I mean, that's hardcore, awesome data, and I'd love to hear data like that. If you get data like that, tell me what video card, how much commit size it changed in an hour, and it was fine on version X, and it was broken in version Y. High five, awesome. Now, it may sound like I'm trying to blame the drivers, and that's. Unfortunately, we can't change the drivers, and sometimes it's not our fault, but sometimes it's the way we're doing things in Warframe that are a problem. So if you sometimes we can change how we do things in Warframe to work around something that the driver is doing. Maybe we're doing something wrong, or maybe we're just not doing something the best way, and it's expecting us to do it the best way, and because we're not doing it the best way, memory is going away. So boil it down, do science, uninstall your middleware that might be invading your process. Try new drivers, try old drivers, try turning off PhysX effects. And the corpus, the infested make a lot of PhysX effects when they get shot by the corpus. So try turning that off. Try changing some of the other in-game settings. The low-quality particle systems, maybe we can blame some of the high-quality particle systems. Maybe we can blame some of the low-quality particle systems. Change values, run the test for half an hour, run the test for an hour, see if it gets better, And if you can use this test to boil things down and get us awesome data, that would be great, and I really would appreciate that. And we could make Warframe a better place.